What's goody? Yo, my people, what's up? What's up? It's been a minute and I haven't really been uploading as much as I would like. But hey, man, I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. So, so many times other things in our lives just come get to us, and it just takes a while for us to adapt. You know, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we we make mistakes and then we're our own troubles or problems that slow us down. But I'm still here trying to push, trying to keep it moving, and trying to keep it together. Back again with another episode. Calling this one the Pagan Chronicles, episode 2. And this one we're going down the alley of Buddhism or Buddhism, right? So the reason why I perpetuate this series is because there are a lot of belief systems, there are a lot of practices, whatever you want to call it, Luciferianism, Satanism, paganism, whatever you want to call it. There are a lot of factions, belief systems that have us believing that they will lead us to this idea of salvation or peace or heaven, you know? Well, unfortunately for them, but fortunately for those who are in the know, there's only one path to eternal salvation. There's only one path to grace. There's only one path to paradise, if you will. And that is the path of the Most High, man, the God referred to in the scriptures. Now, in terms of the confusion that has been put out before us, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Hinduism, whether it's Yogism, whether it's Baha'u'llah, and I'm not just attacking other religions, even Christianity, man, even Christianity, Roman Catholicism, evangelism, Mormonism, eh, those are all Luciferian avenues, you know, and I plan on taking them down one by one. Even Islam, man, even Islam. Allah is not the God of the scriptures. That's a video for another time, which I'll probably be working on soon. So we got to keep our eyes open. We got to move with circumspection. We got to pray to the Most High every day for truth, man. The path to the pit is wide and inviting. There will be a lot of people on the path towards ignorance, but the path towards the Most High, the path towards paradise is very narrow, and not a lot of people will be invited. So whoever's listening, whoever can lend me their ears, man, please open your heart to the Most High. So, Buddhism is a religion and system of beliefs founded by some guy that lived a long time ago. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. Excuse my pronunciation if that's wrong. And he's most commonly known as Buddha. Buddha teaches that our life is suffering, that this suffering is caused by our desires and attachments, and that the only way to end the suffering is through enlightenment. Now, for those of you in the know, that word enlightenment is a dangerous term. When somebody mentions enlightenment or the idea of it, having understanding or having understanding outside of the Most High's realm or law, if that makes sense. To have knowledge, which is most time code for magic or spiritual understanding, you know. That term enlightenment can be dangerous, man. Buddhism is sometimes thought to have originated as a form of Hinduism. If I'm correct, yes, Buddhism being one of the most popular religions in the world, especially in East Asia. China, Japan, Korea, they're big on Buddhism, Taoism. But I believe, yeah, Indians or Elamites, they're the ones who started Buddhism. Although Buddha was actually a very dark-skinned man, according to today's standards, you may refer to him as a black man, or so-called black man, but he was a dark-skinned melanated man. And yeah, it began as a form of Hinduism. There are a lot of similarities, but also many important differences between the two religions. Okay, so Buddhism also has a different goal. than Hinduism. Hindus seek to achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death, while Buddhists aim to attain nirvana, which is a complete state of peace and freedom from suffering. Now, apart from that, Buddhists also reject the idea of a creator God. You know, they also believe that the idea of a creator God distracts followers or people in general from attaining or reaching their desires. Now, so one of the things that I found when researching or reading about Buddha was about him receiving wisdom from a snake like being known as the Mukalinda or the Musalinda. Excuse my pronunciation. And this was the name of a naga or a snake like being. And this Mukalinda protected the Gautama Buddha from the elements after his enlightenment. Now, this snake like being, first of all, a serpent, pretty much. It does not necessarily mean a reptilian or a shapeshifter or anything like that. Serpents, then the word is serpent, especially in the scriptures, is a symbolism or a metaphor for a witch, somebody who practices witchcraft or Luciferians or ritualism. So this serpent like being that spoke to Buddha probably could have been a sorcerer, you know. But besides that, also the serpent-like being. I mentioned this in another video. Very similar to the being known as Ouroboros, the being who revolves, the being who subjects himself to the perimeter of the world, constantly going around in birth and in death and in rebirth. So, according to Wikipedia, Mukalinda or Musilinda is the name of a naga or snake-like being who protected the Buddha from the elements after his enlightenment. It is said that 4 weeks after the Buddha began meditating under the Bodhi tree, which is probably the tree of life or the tree of knowledge or the flower of life, the heavens darkened for 7 days, and as a prodigious rain descended, however, the mighty king of serpents, Mukalinda, came from beneath the earth and protected with his hood the one who is the source of all protection. When the great storm had cleared, the serpent king assumed his human form, bowed before Buddha, and returned in joy to his palace. Suyata is the woman who offered food, rice cooked in milk, okay, to the Buddha when he was performing his ascetic practices before enlightenment. The Buddha was near death, as this was before he realized and practiced the middle way. Later, after enlightenment, Mukalinda, the large cobra snake, protected Buddha. It is interesting to note that the Judeo-Christian Bible in the fall of man is blamed on a woman and a snake. But in Buddhism, the world is saved by helping the Buddha from death by a woman and a snake. Suyata would later become a bhikkhuni or Buddhist nun. And that is interesting how the differences are mentioned between in scripture and in Buddhism, how in one the world is destroyed by the woman and a snake, and two the world is saved by a woman and a snake. So this Musalinda being, he is the Ouroboros, the everlasting serpent, the serpent surrounding the earth. And for those of you who don't know, Buddhists have adopted this dragon symbol as a symbol of enlightenment, one of the symbols of their religion, among a lot of other questionable and suspicious symbols. But I will get to that, you know, I'll get to that later in this video because that's one of the hardest hitting points. Like, it is undeniable that once you see the symbolisms or the symbols that these guys use for their religion, then you will also understand that this is not, it's Luciferianism at the end of the day. All right, so now that we have that foundation covered as a conversational talking point, I do want to mention other similarities between Buddha and other pagan gods. Gods such as Bel, Thoth, uh, Baal, Hermes, Hercules, Horus, Krishna, Tammuz, Adonis. There's so many surprising similarities about these gods. Like, for example, Did you know that all of these gods have the same birthday? That they were born on the 25th of December. Did you know that? And we all know who else was born on the 25th of December. But that's just another point to prove that there are a lot of holes, dark holes in modern Christianity or global Christianity. You know that many people do not touch, or many people just fail to understand, or do not even wish to know. To be honest, another similarity between Buddha and a lot of these gods come from mostly titles. So, okay, get this. According to the Buddhist scriptures, their Bible, which is called the Pali Canon, titles of Buddha include the Bull Man, or the Bull among Man. That sounds like Baal, or or um, or Molech, the caravan leader, the dispeller of darkness, foremost of those who can cross, which reminds me of Osiris, the god of the crossroads, kinsman of the sun, uh, kinsman of the sun. That sounds suspicious. Lion, he of excellent wisdom. Another god of wisdom is Thoth, also Osiris, the Egyptian god. Torchbearer of mankind. Come on now, torchbearer being referred to as a torchbearer, that doesn't even need explaining. Um, the unsurpassed doctor and surgeon. I believe I believe, yeah, Osiris was a god of Osiris was a doctor god, was a surgeon god, a god of knowledge and health. Victor in battle. Now this one can be seen from various perspectives. Victor of battle, that could be referring to as god of war, as Ares. Not exactly sure yet. So for the title known as the torchbearer of mankind, in Greek mythology, Prometheus is also known as the torchbearer of mankind. And for those of you who don't know, that opening ceremony in from the Olympics, where the tradition where the man runs the distance holding the torch, that's in veneration of Prometheus. That's in veneration of the torchbearer, or the great enlightener, or the light bearer, aka, Lucifer. But I want to get back to the Mucalinda. Um, so this serpent that Buddha learned healing and whatnot from. The serpent was believed to come from the netherworld, or the underearth, or Sheol, or hollow earth, right? Apparently, there were it is they believed that there are societies beneath the earth, supernatural societies, such as serpent people, half serpent, half people, and they're in in Buddhism they're called Mukalinda, but you know across the rest of the world you may have heard this word. They're called Nagas, or Nagas, Nagas. And yeah, it's exactly what I said. They were half man, half serpent. And they believe that these serpents, they're gods or whatever, that they live in luxury and they live in magical societies beneath the earth. If your god, or a great figure in your religion, sought knowledge from, you know, a snake person, or a serpent, to me that's automatically bullshit. I'm automatically calling the Luciferianism, and I'm staying away from that. So for you to claim that this great figure taught peace, enlightenment, and freedom from desire, when he learned all of this from some sort of half serpent person from the Hollow Earth, yeah, I'm not gonna buy into that. So this concept of a Naga teaching magic, or a Naga coming from under the earth, doesn't just come from Buddhism. We see it in scriptures in the beginning, where Eve was taught by the serpent. We also see it in Egyptian mythology, whereas Osiris, I believe, was it Osiris? who I believe he was taught by a serpent. He was taught medicine. He was taught um, surgery, matters of the body by a serpent. I believe the staff, Hermes' staff, the caduceus, I think is what it's called. It is coiled. A serpent coils around that staff, and that is the symbology used by Hermes, who's also just Ham, by the way. Hermes is just another way of saying Ham. Um, there was another being associated with a serpent, Asclepius. He learned healing powers from a snake, just the way as Osiris did, just the way as Buddha did. So you see the similarities. You see where I'm trying to get at. You know, like 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 all of this paganism. It comes from the same source. It just differs according to the land that or the region, according to wherever you may be. It all comes from the same source, and that source could be probably Babylon. Considering that that's probably the oldest source, and from there, when the languages differed, or when people ventured out and started moving into their own lands, that's when they started, recreating the same mythology or the same paganism, just in an image that better formatted their society at the time. So these stories are not new, and they're not necessarily different. They share a lot of similarities if you just know where and how to look. If you just know where and how to look, and that takes patience, man. That takes patience. Speaking of Nagas, this is a sidebar. The word Nagas, the word nigger or the word nigger actually comes from Nagas. That was the first variation of that word. Um, and then from there, a group of men who call themselves niggers. They started a country in Africa next to Nigeria, or next to Nigeria, which is called Niger or Nigger, Niger. And apparently those are Moabites, those are Moors. I'm not too sure, but yeah, yeah, it's just like something interesting to know. And if you go look up on Negas, you'd see them a lot in Indian mythology. A lot of them were believed to exist like 2,000 years ago. A lot of them were believed to be, the reptilian, the shapeshifters, the half serpent, half man being. So that's where that comes from. Now, is it real? I've told you this time and time again. The half serpent, half man idea is a metaphor for sorcerers, for witches. When somebody is a serpent, he just knows witchcraft. That's it. That's all that means. But if you guys want to believe, that they're shapeshifters walking around in human skin, then hey, man, that's all you. That's all you. Shit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can prove me wrong. I don't know. But yeah, yeah, that's what I wanna. That's the idea that I'm trying to break down to you guys. The similarities between all of these gods. Now, lastly, just to close it off, I want to get into Buddha's symbology, some of the signs, the imagery, the pictures used in Buddhism, and I just want to break down the Luciferianism behind those symbols, how those symbols are used in other religions as symbols of devil worship. And if you guys have kept up with my videos, you would recognize and know some of these symbols as well, because these symbols, we're seeing the same symbols throughout these different religious factions, which just goes to show more that this is all, it's all Luciferianism, man. It's all from the same source. Every religion on this earth is satanic. Every religion on this world is Luciferianism. The greatest trick that the devil pulled was to make people believe that he does not exist. He is a master at lie, at deceit, and at distraction. He is a master at that. So a lot of times we just go about the world, seeing these things and thinking that they're meaningful religions. No, all of this is designed to stray man from the Most High. All right, symbology, symbology, symbology. All right, I'm gonna start with this grid of symbols right here. So the first one, this flower right here, that's the lotus flower. And it is used today a lot in masonry and Illuminati factions, brotherhood sectors, a lot of pretty much a lot of secret brotherhoods. The lotus flower is symbolism that represents Osiris and Isis. Just so you know, I don't know what this is. I'm sure the elephant means something, but I'm not sure. This right here, this is the 666 hand sign. If you tilt that hand sign to the side a little bit, you would see for yourself that that is a 666 hand sign. This is a picture of Buddha, but I do want to highlight something here. That dot in the middle of his eyes. I believe they call it the urn or the urna. Yeah, the urna. Of course, represents the third eye or the pineal gland. The organ used in our brains to relay back and forth from the spiritual world. We use it when we sleep, when we dream. This one right here, the yoga meditation pose. Of course, it seems like an innocent yoga pose, but if you see my videos of yogism, the first episode of the Pagan Chronicles, this is the same pose struck by a lot of gods, the Hindu Vishnu god, Buddha, but also Baal or the Baphomet or Molech. They strike the same pose. All of you guys know this, the swastika used by German Nazis, but originally it's just a symbol for the sun. Like it's just the sun symbol. It was used thousands of years ago in India and in China, used as the sun. So it could be a representation of the sun god. Probably the German Nazis used that as well. Let's see what else. We got the yin and yang sign, very famous, been around for, I've been seeing the sign all my life. A lot of people claim it represents peace, but it also represents balance, duality, good, bad, evil, good, um, white, black, white magic, black magic, light magic, dark magic, and balance in between. Bringing together of opposites, a very common Luciferian symbology. And this is the same thing. It's the same thing as the yin and yang, just using what are these, koi fish? I'm not sure what the fish is, but it's just the same. And you can see that they're moving in the same formation. What else we got? We got the Dharma wheel, the wheel of fortune, the wheel of life. We got this right here. I believe that represents the flower of life, the tree of life, or the cube of life, or the tetragram, or what is that called? I forgot what it's called, but if you brothers look up the flower of life or the tetragram or the cube of life, you'll see images very similar to this. All right, so the next image, we have more images of Buddha, of course. That's the pineal gland, the third eye. We have the lotus flower again. We have the eye of Horus or the eye of Osiris, depending on which direction it's facing. Again, we have the tetragram, the cube of life. We have, I'm not sure what this is, but I think this is a variation of the 666 hand sign. We have the Hansa hand. This is called the Hansa hand, HNSA. It's a symbol used a lot in witchcraft, in sorcery, in satanic rituals. Let's see, anything here that we haven't covered? Nah, everything here I covered already. And that pretty much brings me to the end of this episode of the Pagan Chronicles. The next episode, I may be covering Hinduism, maybe Islam. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get there when we get there. Thank you guys for, paying attention to another one of my videos. Thank you for allowing me to share knowledge with you. As usual, I continue to urge you guys to keep praying to the Most High. Keep keep fighting in this life. Please keep giving your all. Even when you fall, you get back up and you keep praying to the Most High. You keep fasting. You keep honoring the Sabbath. You keep obeying His laws, His testimonies, His judgments, His statutes, and His mandates. Nobody's perfect. I fall too, man. I fall too. I trip over the line, over the cord of sin placed before me. I do dust myself up and get back up again. And I urge you to do the same. We make mistakes in this life, but you got to keep finding the Most High, and you got to keep doing your upright best to put Him first, man. Please. Thank you guys for listening. We are outie.